All right, 125 on a Wednesday. We'll take you up to 2 o'clock straight up. Switch gears a little bit. We'll hold off on the calls. We'll talk a little NBA. Jonathan Marshall, great job, as always, covering some hoops out in Texas. Joins us for a couple moments. A lot of stuff to get talked about. A lot of stuff on the table today, and obviously we'll dive into some Eastern Conference stuff. But good to catch up with you, my friend. How you been?
Q, I've been good. I can't complain. How are things going up there?
Everything is going well. Everything is going well. I would say everything is going well if you're a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. But, I mean, another coach killer, that is LeBron James. What was your initial reaction when you heard Blatt was out in Cleveland?
My initial reaction, first off, was that it was a little confusing to me. How can a guy who just coached a team in his first year coming from the overseas game to the professional game here in the NBA, he leads this team to an Eastern Conference championship. Without Kyrie Irving, without Kevin Love, they were actually a couple games from actually taking down a very good Golden State Warriors team. Coming into the second year, they're still top the Eastern Conference standings. So you have nobody else to look at but LeBron James, who is the de facto GM. I don't care how you want to slice it.
Right.
He's the one who avoided putting Andrew Wiggins' name in his letter coming back. He was the guy who traded Wiggins for Kevin Love. This was the roster that he wanted. So all fingers point to LeBron, and for him to say that he had no idea what was going on was just pure foolishness on his part to say that.
He's falling in line with one of those all-time great or that group of all-time great players, and you can pick the sport respectively that are turning into a coach killer. Now, I know he doesn't like that term. He dismissed that term, but it is what it is. I mean, when you're looking at this, aside from really the stability with Spoelstra in Miami when he was with the Heat, I mean, you're right. It's not like the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Pacers or the Hornets or the Wizards or the Knicks or the Sixers. They're not teetering outside or one of the worst teams or a bad team right now in the Eastern Conference. They are one of the top teams. They are the top team in the Eastern Conference, a couple games up over the Toronto Raptors. So to me, I don't know. Does LeBron's image take a hit here?
I think it has to, because, I mean, even in Miami, there were some rumblings about him not vibing with Spoelstra, but the only reason it worked in Miami because there was a guy named Pat Riley who, whatever he says is going to go down, he's proven. So unless there's like a strong personality in that front office somewhere, LeBron's not hearing it from anybody. And the fact that Tyronn Lue, I guess, they're friends or they're buddies, that just shows you what LeBron's looking for in a coach. And if there's not that strong influence, if there's not that Pat Riley, that Jerry West type of influence, we're going to be seeing this throughout the rest of his career, I believe.
Yeah, but you're going to hire your friend. That's all well and good, but your friend had no – I mean, why not even try to make a play for Thibodeau, because his teams actually play defense? I mean, you're bringing in Tyronn Lue. I get it. You're buddies and, you go to bat for a friend. But if his legacy doesn't want to take a hit and he wants to try to win another title or get to the Cavs to another finals appearance, then you kind of got to – you got to have the best guy out there, so to speak. I mean, this to me, what if this doesn't pan out and they're a 500 team, or maybe they get upset in the first round of the playoffs? Then what? You're going to move on from Lue and you're going to bring in another head coach?
Well, LeBron may just end up leaving Cleveland again. Imagine that. And don't think it's outside the possibility. He's done it before, so, I mean, he's liable to do it again. If things don't work out the way they're supposed to work out in Cleveland, I mean, what's stopping LeBron from leaving again? What's stopping him?
Nothing. You're absolutely right. No, you're right. How about the Knicks for a couple of minutes? They've dropped 2 out of 3. Bad loss to the Celtics. I look at this Knicks team, and I don't think they have a substantial amount of talent. They obviously have some players, and I think Porzingis is an all-around very good player. They can build a franchise around Porzingis. I think the problem with the Knicks is the head coach, but not the players on the floor. What say you?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good mix. Derek Fisher coming in, obviously, it's when you're talking about hiring a guy with no experience coaching in the NBA. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, Steve Kerr, they hit the lottery with that. So yeah, it's always a hit and miss. You don't know what you're going to get. Derek Fisher, I was kind of iffy on that hiring. I'm still not too crazy about it, because when I look at a guy like Brad Stevens in Boston, right? You compare these rosters in Boston to New York. There's no way. The fact that Boston's in the top 4 competing for a top spot in the Eastern Conference, New York with that talent, with one of the more gifted scorers in the NBA in Carmelo, with a guy like Porzingis, with Jose Calderon and Flalo, solid guys. The fact that they're not even in the playoff picture, but Brad Stevens can get a Boston roster in the playoff mix, I mean, obviously something's missing there on the sidelines, and coaching is very, very important, and you're seeing it with the Knicks. I mean, obviously they can stand to make improvements with the roster, but in the Eastern Conference, it's not that hard to compete for a playoff.
No, and you go back to the job that Stevens is doing. I mean, look at the game last night. I think Crowder, Zeller, 16 points, 15 points. Turner coming off the bench. Thomas with a not double-double, but 20 and 8, 20 and 9. And they were just fresher. And they applied more pressure, and defensively in that game, they just stymied the Knicks in the fourth quarter. You're right. After a while, that is coaching. And for Derek Fisher to come out and say, well, hey, we know where we are, that bothers me because it bothers me because, and I'm not picking on the Sixers. You already know how I feel about the Sixers and what they're doing. But when you say something like that, that mentality is almost of a, we're content if we don't make the playoffs and it doesn't matter, we'll get a good draft pick. And I don't like that mentality. And it shouldn't fly. It should not fly in New York.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, that fan base, they know what good basketball is, and the product that they're putting out there, the effort that they're seeing out there is not up to par. And if they keep going this rate, I mean, we're hearing about KD looking at Golden State as a free agency possibility. New York just can't rest on its laurels and saying we're New York, people are going to come to us. I mean, they really have to prove that they have the coaching in place and they have the supporting cast in place to attract these big name free agents. Because right now, at this moment, there are some other teams looking highly more attractive. If I'm a KD, if I'm a DeMar DeRozan, whoever the top free agents are in the next couple of years.
Speaking of Porzingis, I said this on the air the other day. I thought when you look at Porzingis and you look at Okafor, two different players. I mean, Porzingis, I think, kind of wiped away that soft label because he rebounds, he plays defense. He doesn't have that label of European players that typically come in and they're soft, so to speak, except for really Nowinski. But I think Okafor is going to put up a ton of points in the league throughout his career, and I don't know what's going to happen as they progressively, when they get better, the ball distribution on the floor maybe takes away a little bit from his scoring ability, but it just seems like he's going to be a guy that's going to compile a lot of points here and there. But I look at Porzingis, and to me, he's so well-rounded. If you had your two, who you building your team around?
I got to side with you, Q. I got to go with my man Porzingis. I mean, when you're talking game changers, the game changers in the league today, I'm talking the Russell Westbrooks, I'm talking the LeBrons of the world. I mean, these are guys who can do it on both ends, the KD, Steph Curry's even. These are guys who, when they're out there on the court, their presence is being felt. When I'm watching Okafor play, granted, he's a young guy. He's still getting his feet wet, but I just don't see that energy. I don't see that impact that I see from a Porzingis. Even though he's not playing, he's not getting as many touches as at Okafor because you're playing with Melo. He's finding other ways to make an impact. His presence is being felt. Not only is he's adding contributions scoring wise, but defensively, rebounding wise. Like on both ends of the court, he's making an impact. And with Okafor, yes, he's going to supply you 20 points a night. But that's good and well. But on the defensive end, what are you providing? Are you providing that toughness, that energy that we need on the boards? And I'm just not seeing it from Okafor right now. Timmy Duncan, gifted offensive player, but what people don't realize is he's always been a great defensive player. He averaged 20 and 11 his first year in the league. So that any comparisons to Timmy Duncan when it comes to Okafor, because Tim Duncan is a complete player. I mean, we're talking about Porzingis. I mean, he's giving me the total package.
Do you think, and again, a couple of minutes with Jonathan Marshall, does a great job covering the association, does a lot of good stuff out in Texas covering NBA and Hoops Talk. When you look at Okafor, you brought up a really good point that just brought to mind this question. Is it, when a guy's not accustomed to losing, I'm not earlier in the year, I thought the team, they were absolutely just lost on the floor, and you see the guys that they didn't have a lot of NBA talent, and losing takes a toll on a team. Do you think it's more of skill set, you got to let them mature a little more, or maybe losing's taking a toll on them where sometimes, hey man, I don't want to run back on defense. I didn't get that rebound, I'll come up and down the floor.
Yeah, I mean that can be an impact coming from your high school career. You were an All-American, coming from Duke, obviously winning a national title. But I feel like we've seen many guys come into bad situations and still play their hearts out, not use that as an excuse. So if that's the case, then that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. If you're a professional, you should be playing. You should be wanting to improve your situation, even though it's not where you want it to be. You should still want to make an impact and say, "This is my team. I have to lead the way," and we're not seeing that right now.
And look, I'm not implying that he dogs it. I've seen enough games though where you tell what guys are running the floor and sometimes guys just don't get back on defense. I mean, speaking of a team that's running on all cylinders, I mean, look, Golden State, it's tough to win, and I hear you chuckling. It's tough to win in the NBA and win a title and be so dominant, but to follow that back up the next year and to win 44 out of your first 48 games. Is that more of a testament of how weak the Western Conference is, even though you still have Oklahoma, you have the Clippers, you have the Spurs, but other than that, there's really not a lot of quality of teams in the Western Conference? Or is Golden State that good? I mean, are we going to look at Golden State and say, man, this run they had, back-to-back champs, or maybe three-peat, or 4 out of 5 years they went to the final? I mean, are they that good in your eyes?
Q, I think we just gotta hand it to them. I mean, they're just embarrassing cats out here. I mean, they made Kawhi Leonard look foolish. They made the Spurs look foolish. They made the Cavaliers look foolish. It seems like every time there's a big moment or a big game, whether it's the rematch against Cleveland, whether it's hosting San Antonio, they just always show out to play. Not only play, but they dominate.
Yes,
and that just shows you that their mindset is already toward the playoff march. Like, they're ready. No matter who you bring up against them, they're prepared. And the fact that they blew out a solid San Antonio team just shut any doubts down. I mean, Steph Curry had 13 points the other night against New York, and Klay Thompson steps up and drops 30. Klay Thompson is starting to get into his groove now, which is so scary. So, I mean, they're just a dominant team right now. I mean, I don't see anybody really at this point matching what they're providing right now.
Any correlation to Blake Griffin breaking the hand with the altercation with his friend / one of the equipment guys with the Clippers, and now all of a sudden they've won 4 games in a row, and I think 5 out of 6. I mean, it seems statistically at times they play better with him not on the floor. But just your overall assessment of that situation. I said last week, I thought when everything was came to the forefront, in my mind, you have to trade him because he's starting to resemble one of those guys those guys in the locker room you just don't want, you just don't need. And quite frankly, I think he's overrated. I think he's a one-dimensional player.
Yeah, I mean, they're winning without him. That definitely is a huge factor. I mean, that's telling. In a playoff series, we'll see how much he's definitely valuable to that team. But when it comes to trading him, he is their most valuable piece. If he's still in his prime, if you want to get something valuable back, because the Clippers, as currently constructed, I don't see this team, not with San Antonio, not with OKC, not with Golden State. I don't see this team winning any titles. So if you're not winning a title, then what are you doing? So if you feel like you have Blake Griffin at his highest value right now, you got to see what you can get for him.
Last one for you. Got about a minute to go. Good stuff as always. About midway through the NBA season, what rookie has made the most impact in your eyes?
I gotta say it's Porzingis. I mean, Porzingis has been nothing short of amazing. I mean, like we talked about it, not just offensively, but defensively, and the energy that he's bringing to the Garden. He's just breathing new life, I feel, into that Knicks fan base. And they have one in New York. So Knicks fans, don't worry, you're in good hands with Porzingis. Trust me.
They're a horrible product to watch. All right, my friend.
Always. You got Porzingis though. Just hang in there.
It's not helping. Always good to touch base. We'll talk next week. I appreciate it, pal.
Yes, sir.